We're going live, and welcome everybody to InspireTalk, wherever you are in the world today, whether it's afternoon, evening, or even in the morning, like it is here in Australia. We welcome you along to the show. InspireTalk's all about bringing game changers to our event and having them talk to you about the secrets that they have to help you improve whatever it is you're doing, whether it be your business, your lifestyle, or anything else that you might be preoccupied with. Joining me today is InspireTalk co-host and very good friend, Ranil Rajapaksa. Welcome along, Ranil.
Morning, Stuart. Very excited to be here. Super excited to have Kellan on board. I think we're gonna get some really good content in this show.
Completely excited with this one too, but I'm also quite interested in the work you've been doing recently for the federal election over here, because I think some of your antics have created almost a hung parliament, but maybe you want to talk to us about that.
Yeah, look, it was a flattering gesture. We did get approached by federal government and also a few lobby groups and political parties to help out with the recent elections that we had here. Kellan, you might not know, but it's been a bit of a ride in terms of our recent elections that we had probably about a week ago or so. But all is good. We do have a government now, woohoo! And yeah, it was a lot of work, but there was great value and learnings that we got out of it, and equally on the other side as well for our clients. So it was an extraordinary experience.
What did you do?
Fantastic.
We basically consulted. So we look after digital advertising in Australasia, and we also helped out in the previous election. So there was a lot of insights and intel that we kind of shared. There was a lot of different strategies at play. So we kind of ran through the risks versus reward. Where they needed to go, what they shouldn't probably be doing, and yeah, a little bit. We got really deep into how we could actually target people granularly, very, very small, let's just say, and especially they were looking to target new voters. So using mediums like this, you know, and integrating it with email, integrating with a whole bunch of stuff. So we actually helped them out in terms of the user journey with getting the message out there.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Thanks, Ranil. So we've mentioned Kellan, and you've seen him a couple of times here. So let's formally introduce him. This is a man who walks and talks success, but more importantly, he's walking and talking success for people that he's introducing to a better lifestyle, a better opportunity, and a better success for themselves overall. Welcome along, Kellan Fluckiger.
Thank you, Stuart and Ranil. Glad to be here. Really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show, and looking forward to our chat today. And you know, I'm in Phoenix, and it's like in the middle of summer and really hot. And you told me that when we got started that it was just barely getting light there. So I'm thinking, okay, this must be like just after winter turning into spring, and and so here it's just barely passed into summer, and it's 111 today.
And I understand it looks pretty much like what's in your background there, Kellan. Is that correct?
It does. That is actually a picture from northern Arizona in Monument Valley. That's one of the big mountain tops up there, plateaus that they have in Monument Valley. It's all kinds of them up there. It's really beautiful, and I'm actually positioned badly so you can't see it. I should be over here. There you go.
So look, what I'd like to do is ask you about yourself, Kellan, where you've come from, what you do, and what Kellan Fluckiger International is all about.
So, Kellan, you know, I've lived a really interesting life, 3 or 4 different lives, and I say that advisedly. For some reason, I was driven, and I know the reason, actually, maybe we'll get to it later, but I was driven as an overachiever to do all kinds of different things in my life. So I've owned a recording studio for 35 years. I've been a performing artist at the highest level, got albums on Billboard and that sort of thing. I've also been a consultant in commodities and electricity. and had a contract with, and this will be important for people in Australia and England and Canada, with the Queen of England, and did some work at the highest levels of government there, also in the state of California, in the U.S. and Canada, executive sort of work. And after 30 years in that, I retired, I guess, in 2008, actually. I've spent the last 8 years focusing specifically on helping people do the things they don't believe they can do. I'm firmly convinced that every single person listening now or that's going to listen to this could do far more than they are currently doing if they want to. Some don't, some do. Many think they do and think they can't. Those are the targets that I love to help, doing stuff they don't believe they can do, and then having the delight and joy explode into their life by accomplishing things that they don't think at this particular time are within their grasp. So that's something that I love to do and have been doing for the last 8 years.
And that's really useful participation in the world, and something that a lot of us can really impart to many more people if we really got in behind it. What's the story behind how you started down that path, Kellan?
The story behind how I started down behind that path is my own journey. I had a lot of physical abuse, a very strict and rigorous religious upbringing, which was accompanied by what today would be felony child abuse and jail time. And it sort of left a mark on me, and the mark that it left on me was that I wasn't good enough, and that nothing that I ever did was good enough. And I happened to be blessed with, good intelligence and capability, and so I spent all my time trying to prove that I was, and in outrageous overachievement. So, straight A's in school, scholarships, wild success in corporate America, ranks up through ranks, and, chief operating officer, CEO, those kinds of things. I achieved them, but internally I was still branded with this feeling of it's not enough, it's not enough, it's not enough, and all my validation needed to come from outside. And strangely enough, the person I wanted it most from was the one that I never got it from, which was my mom. So I went this whole life, and as a result of feeling like I never was good enough, I went through 40 years of depression. So my public face was one of wild success, and my private life was often a disaster. And so I have this juxtaposition of wild public success and internal personal relationship and disaster, blah, blah, blah. And after I finally figured out, maybe a few years ago, what had been happening of this roller coaster ride to my life, I simply made a decision. I'm going to do everything I can to help other people that are suffering these same kinds of processes. And I identified 3 things: fear, procrastination, and self-sabotage. They are the big 3 for me. They are the big 3 for folks that I help. Fear of, well, there's all kinds of fears, procrastination, all kinds of reasons, and self-sabotage for also all kinds of reasons. But that is what drove me, my own experience, my own private journey, which I've released, or not released, but written about in the book that's coming out in November. And then just a personal determination that my job and what I love to do is everything that I can about that. So that's where the desire came from. I'm passionate about it because I love it. I don't have to do this. I was very successful. I do it because I love it, I want to, and I'm able, thankfully, to make a difference for some, and hopefully more as the kinds of things that I'm doing grow.
That's amazing, Kellan, and you can really tell the passion coming out when you speak about the purpose, I guess, of why you're doing what you're doing. I guess the question I've got is, and you must have met a lot of people during your journey as well, why do people lock themselves into this kind of circumstance, without actually finding out what is the obstacle?
Well, I use the metaphor of a cage, and so you can see in my lower third, I say break the cage, and there's lots of ways to describe it. And the reason I use cage, like prison bars, is the metaphor, the visual that I use is someone locked in a cage behind bars, and they're seeing out there the kind of life and success and happiness and internal joy they want, and they're reaching out for this, and they're pressing against the bars, and they're just craving to do it, but they're prevented from getting it. And so that's sort of the metaphor that I use to help people connect with the emotion that they're feeling of, it's not for me, I just can't, that kind of feeling of someone starving and reaching out for the food that they can't reach and stuff like that. And what I find over and over again, it was certainly true with me and with client after client, is that the bars are of our own making. There's nobody out there and nothing out there that's actually preventing you from going and creating the life that you want, the things that you want. It's the things I believed about myself or that you believe about yourself, the chances you won't take, the risks you won't undergo, the willingness to have people mad at you or say you suck or whatever it is. That is those bars, and that's why I name them, fear, procrastination, and self-sabotage. And they're the bars of your cage. And so it's a powerful metaphor because it implies, denial of freedom, denial of opportunity, the word locked, the word cage, and I picked those on purpose because it's a very visceral and almost makes you mad kind of thing. And when you realize that you've built your own cage and you have your own key, then there only is one question, and that is, what's it worth to you to change the situation? That's the end of the answer.
And look, yeah, that's fantastic, Kellan. I do believe we've got a slight time lag here, so apologies for that. So in terms of people who get into that situation, and look, it happens to a majority of people that I've spoken to and get involved with. How can people recognize that they're in this place, that they're in this predicament?
Well, so there's a couple of ways. I mean, there's more than a couple, but let me just talk about a couple. So I ask people, do you find yourself blaming external circumstances a lot? If they would do this, if the economy wasn't bad, if the government did this, if my family would do this, if my spouse would do this, if you find yourself sort of shaking your finger a lot at other people, either actually or in your head, like it's them, then that's a real strong indicator that you're not taking responsibility for your life. And so that's a real strong first question. You blame a lot. You tend to do a lot of blaming outside. And the second thing is, the second question is, do you find yourself asking the question or saying a lot, well, I sure would be happy when, whatever, fill in the blank. I call that the I'll be happy when game. And I'll be happy when is a game that you can never win, and it's a game that will keep you from singing the song you came to sing. I use that metaphor a lot because I'm a musician. From giving your gifts and talents, from doing what you came to do forever, because it will never be the right time. Things will never be perfect. The stars are never going to line up, so get over it. And so if you play the I'll be happy when game a lot, or if you find yourself blaming things a lot, those are two real strong cues that you need to stop, get a real opportunity to reflect about yourself, and take a real stock of what's going on in your life.
And I think that also falls on to the way that you use. Sorry, Stuart. You do have a really good extensive YouTube channel with a whole bunch of videos there that covers quite a variety of really important stuff. One of them is the special series on language, and I think that's exactly what you're kind of including here. A lot of people don't realize how powerful their language in terms of when they speak to others and internally. It can actually do a lot more damage than they think.
Well, so let's just pretend for a second that you get up in the morning and something happens. It's not what you planned and not what you wanted. You don't feel that good, or you get up late and your alarm didn't go off, or you shut it off, or you hit snooze too many times, or whatever. And so you start the idea with, I'm behind, I'm late, the day's going to suck, so-and-so's going to be mad, oh, crap. And you start with that dialogue, just right there. And how many times have we all done that? My question is, why in the world would you create that future to live into? Today's gonna suck. And then you spend the rest of the day making it so. and you see what you find what you expect your boss to be upset, you expect someone to be waiting for you, you expect a whole bunch of things, and sure enough, you find them. And you've languaged that out loud or in your own mind. And worse yet, you might be saying, how come I can't get up? What's wrong with me? How come I can't finish this project? How come I can never do this right? How come I'm so stupid? Why is everybody else doing it? And you're sort of, each of those is beating yourself with a stick. And so you literally create a future of failure, and then, of course, you gleefully live right into it.
So, Kellan, we're getting some really useful insights from you today, and really appreciate what you're dispatching to us. What are the pathways and possibilities that the internet presents for us all?
So, one of the things that I love about the internet is the fact that we're having this conversation. For example, I'm in Phoenix. I just spent several weeks in Alberta, which is, for those of you anywhere in the world that may not know the relationship of those, 1,800 miles straight north, like right towards Santa Claus. Whoop! From where I am. In Phoenix, it's 1 billion degrees. And in Edmonton, Alberta, which is the capital of the Canadian province of Alberta, I have another home, and we spend a good bit of the summer, most of the summer up there. My daughter got married on the 20th of June. That was fun. I got to go give her away and do all that cool stuff. And meet the groom, or I actually had met him before, threaten the groom, you better take care of, do all the stuff that dads do, right? So, and it was a great wedding, and she also asked me to be the photographer, so I ran around, took a bunch of pictures, and we had a great time. And here's my point about that, besides, it was a fun thing, my business didn't change or stop. I got to conduct my coaching calls from up there. I signed some new clients while I was up there. I don't even remember where they were. One of them's in New York. And, I got clients in Tasmania, which is an island right off Australia down there. I got one of my clients there in your Tassie, Tassie land. And I've got clients in Europe, and I've got them everywhere. So the internet means a couple things right there without even starting, and that is I can do my business face-to-face in real life and in real time from anywhere in the world. And that's a blessing. I don't have to go into an office. And for all my career, I did. I had to go into an office. And this ability to do this kind of stuff, and Hangouts and Zoom and everything else, is just like, wow. This is Star Trek, like in my living room from when I was a kid, right, in 1967 when Star Trek first came out. You guys maybe not be old enough to remember that, but hey, I watched all the originals. So that's one thing. And so I can conduct my business from anywhere in the world. A second thing is I can have an impact all over the world. So I had a conversation with somebody the other day who regularly walks on a beach in Cornwall, which is in England. Well, all the rest of my life, I would no sooner have had a connection with somebody in England than the man in the moon. Maybe I would know somebody, or maybe some relative, whatever, or somebody was on a vacation. But I've got connections that are not clients everywhere. And he called me up, and he had a question about what to do about something in his business. I got to chat with him. He's not a client. He might be someday. I don't even care. I have connections in real time, not, a week to deliver a letter, and, only a week if it's airmail, and 6 if you mail it slow boat to China or whatever. So this ability to do that is just a mind-blowing coolness. So that's two things. The third thing is the YouTube channel you mentioned. I've got 700 and something videos on YouTube. It'll be 1,000 probably before the end of the year. YouTube is free. They host it for free. They make their business out of making it available fast without glitches to everybody, anywhere. Why? Because otherwise Amazon will eat their lunch, Amazon S3. And so you've got people competing, falling all over themselves to be the platform where people can find my stuff. And the only thing I have to do is be ridiculously cool so that people are looking for it. And that's on me. But the ability to reach them is handed to me for free, or if I'm paying for Amazon S3, virtually pennies, because bandwidth on Amazon is practically nothing. YouTube is free, and so I can reach the world. I can have friends in the world. I can coach in the world, I can run my programs virtually, and I can store all my stuff online for everybody to see or to buy. And so the internet has been this amazing thing. And so when you hear people say there's never been a better opportunity to build a business, make a difference, impact people, write a book, be a leader, make your voice heard, it's so true. It's so true. It's not just hype. So that's what the internet's done for me and my business and some of my clients that I'm working with as well.
Can you share to our viewers, I guess, can any of us afford to ignore the changes when it comes to technology and how we can actually leverage that?
Well, so I'm going to ask you a different question. Why would you want to? I mean, the answer is, can you afford? If you don't care about reaching people anywhere in the world, if you don't want to do business beyond your neighborhood, if you sharpen lawnmower blades for a living, which is an honorable profession, and it doesn't make sense for people to mail you lawnmower blades, and you're living completely local, and you don't really care about Facebook, and you don't want to follow world events and trends, and you don't want to stay connected in that way, then you can ignore all of that and safely never buy a smartphone. And we've gone too far. My wife tells me sometimes I'm pay more attention to the phone than her, and she's probably right. So I have to go on phone-free hours and days and put it away and turn it off and do some stuff. Okay. So can you safely ignore it? Not if you want to have an impact in the world. Not if you want to reach the kinds of audiences we're talking about. Not if you want to know what's going on and other people that are connecting and doing the same thing you are. If you want to connect with them and build coalitions. I've got partners that I'm doing business with. You talked about, this thing I'm doing in Cyprus. I'm connected with a dude in Cyprus I wouldn't have met ever in my universe because of this. And the other coach that I'm partnering with lives in Minneapolis. And so what? You can't ignore it. So yes, you can, and no, you can't is the answer. And my third real question is, why would you do that?
Yeah, I think it's scalability as well, which is amazing. You can do something once, and it will pretty much live forever online. As a sub question, just on a personal note, do you think the internet and conversations like this are not as powerful as if they were in person?
So, Ranil, you and I hadn't met till today. I knew Stuart, and I've actually seen him face to face, and touched him, pressed the flesh, said hello. I think. Have we ever actually met in person, Stuart?
Look, I don't think we did, Kellan. We were due to meet up in San Diego, but I wasn't able to make that event, so unfortunately, we didn't actually get to shake hands.
All right, so here's the answer to your question, Ranil. I've known Stuart long enough that I couldn't remember if we hadn't met or not. We talked about meeting. I thought that we had, and now he's reminding me that he didn't come, and I'm like, oh, wow, I look stupid. I don't remember. And so, and I just met you, an hour ago or half an hour ago or whatever, and if I met you in person, yes, there is an energetic exchange created by proximity that cannot be duplicated. So I'm never going to pretend that a virtual hug is going to equal a real hug. I'm never going to pretend that hearing the notes of a jazz musician blow an outrageous solo on a sax or play something cool in person when you're standing there absorbing the electricity of the room is going to ever equal a recording even when you're watching live. But you know what? I couldn't remember that I didn't meet Stuart in real life. And, so it gets pretty fuzzy. And when I coach my clients on video and I can watch them and see what they're doing, I can read body language and hear the nuances of tone, and I can understand what's going on emotionally and energetically in a way that is not, it's 98% of being there, 98%. So pretty darn close. And I used that as an example because I actually couldn't remember. And I thought we had met in person and that you and I hadn't. So my point about you is, I haven't met you, but if I met you, I don't think I would be somehow shocked, surprised, disappointed, or anything about the kind of conversation we would have, or the things you might say, and other things about you. I don't know if you're married, I don't know if you have kids, I don't know what sports you like, but we didn't talk about that. But we could, and then I would know that, and then we wouldn't be like that. And so, yeah, almost is where I'm at.
It'd be fair to say too, Kellan, that you know, I certainly have the same feeling as you, as if we've already met face to face, just purely and simply from all the exchanges that we've had probably over the last 2 or 3 years online. So it's as good as we're in the same room together, and I think that's the Star Trek technology coming through that we all sort of said, wow, I wonder if that will ever happen, and here it is now. Creating the relationships just purely through some cloud in the Ethernet somewhere. You know, it's just amazing technology. What I'd like to ask you now is, you know, it's all well and good to have technology assisting us, and we can also see some of these technologies and how we can make use of it, but it comes back to some personal traits, some personal you know, rules and regulations we've got to set for ourselves, disciplines, I think is what I'm looking for, to make sure that we can leverage these in a successful way. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, like anything, you can become, there's people who watch too much TV. You know, we've had TV around since 50s or whatever. I don't even know, you know. And some people watch too much, and they don't use that tool effectively, and it overtakes their lives, and they become connected to the whatever series they're following so much they can't help themselves. The internet can do the same thing. You can become addicted to it. You can become addicted to online gaming, online gambling. It can be a detriment. It can be bad for you. It can be good for you in the ways we described. It can also be, you can have rules, you do have rules of etiquette. So, for example, I have appointments. I have appointments with clients. Now, I could easily make the argument, well, they're sitting home, and I'm going to be from home, so if I'm 10 or 15 minutes late to the appointment, excuse me, it doesn't make that much difference. Not that big of a deal if I'm late to the appointment. It's not, you know, it's not really rude. And that's wrong. It means you're not valuing other people's time. It actually means you're not valuing your own time. It means you're not valuing your word, and this goes back to language. Your word is all you really have. I mean, everything else is whatever. The only thing you actually own in your own integrity is your word, your free will and your word. That's it. So, etiquette. Treat people like you want to be treated. Gee, it's the same rules as in place. Be on time. Be respectful. This business of people who are online and they get to be trolls and they have fake accounts and they call people names and they diss everything. You know, it's just as rude online as it is in person. Just because you hide behind the safety of anonymity doesn't make it less egregious, less stupid, and less offensive. I'll give you a story about that. It's kind of funny. When I was in Alberta doing electricity work, I made some friends and I made some enemies. I changed a lot of market rules and did some things, and the market was $10 billion a year, so there's a lot of money at stake, and I moved a lot of money around. Some people liked me and some people hated my guts, and I know one company that hired a lobbyist for $250,000 to try to get rid of me. I mean, so people spent a lot of money to try to, you know, get rid of me. All right. So after I left at the end of 2007, beginning of 2008, I was done with commodities and electricity. I've been doing it for 30 years, and I quit. A couple, 3 years later, 2014, so 5, 6 years later, I got asked to come be one of the keynote speakers at a conference in electricity. And I'd done a little bit of consulting in the meantime, but I pretty much devoted myself to business coaching. 6 years later, the news comes out that I'm going to be a keynote at this particular energy conference. And so the program comes out. When the guy who was organizing it asked me, I said, well, I'm pretty controversial. When you put my name in there, you're going to have to buy a different venue because it's going to triple the attendance. I don't know if it's good or bad or if they'll come with pitchforks, but it's going to do that. And it in fact did, and he sent me an email. Holy crap, we got to get another room. So here's what happened. A guy that was chairing the conference and we made a little video, right? And we put it up on YouTube. Now get this. The video was about electricity. Now electricity is about as interesting as watching paint dry. Okay, and you wouldn't expect anyone in the world to care about that. In a matter of days, it had 1,200 views. Now remember, this is electricity. Okay, this is not about anything interesting. 1,200 views, and one person had used anonymous thing to launch a personal attack and be a troll and saying that I was this, that, and the other thing, and just said all kinds of grody stuff, right? Okay, cool. So my friend who was in Alberta, I was in Phoenix at the time, he did just a little bit of research, and the guy didn't do a very good job camouflaging who it was. So he found out who the actual person was, and it turned out he was a person in management at one of these companies who didn't like me. And so we did some things, and we put a response up there. We put his name out in public, and we said some stuff. And immediately, every profile and every social media that he ever had disappeared. He vanished. The comment was gone. The whole world disappeared. And a whole bunch of people from that company showed up in the audience when I did that talk, and they were very nice. And it was really funny because that all happened. But this whole idea of we can be rude and be grody and be hidden is a bad thing about the internet and breaks the rules of etiquette. So back to your question, are there rules? Of course there are. And they certainly mimic the rules of behaving with etiquette and kindness and politeness and constructive behavior in real time. So sorry for the long answer to the short question, but the story's kind of funny.
It's a great story, actually.
No.
Sorry, Stuart.
Go ahead, Renil. Sorry.
Oh, look, very quickly. Look, Seth Godin, actually, he's a digital advertising guru, and he actually said there's only 2 reasons why people are on the internet, and it's because they have no time, and it's because they have too much time, which is quite interesting. And YouTube and video, and people are watching, aren't they? They're out there. It doesn't matter what niche it is. If it's visible, people will find it. Now, we're probably going to have to wrap up soon, aren't we, Stuart? As we're coming up to the 30-minute mark or so. I hope you don't mind if I can quickly ask Stuart if, in regards to the 3 points that you mentioned before, which is fear, procrastination, and self-sabotage. I think that's really, really, really powerful, and this is something that probably touches everybody in terms of what's an obstacle in their lives. In a very, very quick, summation, would you be able to let us know, I guess, or give us some points in terms of how to, number 1, acknowledge it, and maybe number 2, do you have specific videos, links that maybe people can find out more information in overcoming these 3 important points?
You bet. So the self-analysis that I talked about earlier, if you're unhappy with your life, if you find yourself blaming, feeling helpless, I'm stuck in a rut, all of those are signs, so pay attention. You have the right to live in a rut. You have the right to live in a cage. You have the right to be satisfied. Okay, cool. But make the choice intentionally. So if you want to do something about it, don't blame the world and pretend you can't. Take control of your life. Acknowledge, I need some help. I need to do this. I'm determined. I'm committed. Committed, committed, committed. So commitment and acknowledgement and commitment and seeking help. There are 3 steps. Acknowledge, I'm not where I want to be. Number 2, I'm absolutely committed to do whatever I need to make a change. And I probably won't have to climb Mount Everest. And I probably won't have to do all that. I probably can just do some things close to home, but I'm committed to do whatever it takes. And then get the help you need. There's coaching everywhere. I use that word coaching to mean any kind of help that you could get. There's all kinds of programs online. Most people don't do them without help, and so that's why coaching and helping is so valuable. So yes, if you find yourself unhappy, take responsibility and do something about it. Don't give up. Don't quit. Find stuff. Get the help you need. So if you want to know something about me, a place that you could go is, not surprisingly, www.breakthecagenow.com. So www.breakthecagenow.com. It's the one that's on my lower third. There's a place you can opt in there and get a 5-part video series that talks about, guess what? Fear, procrastination, self-sabotage, and there's a whole pile of instruction, including some really specific techniques that I give when I talk from stage about each of those. So very specifically, they're there. Go get it. I just finished the 5th video. I just redid one, so they'll be up there, and they are up there. The site's live now, but the rest of them are coming right away. So there's some new, cutting-edge, brand new, not stale stuff there now. Go get it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kellan. So, look, we are going to wind up in a second. I'll come back to both Ranil and Kellan for a final comment in just a second. Before I do, the InspireTalk show is coming up. We've got some super speakers that are lined up for us. We've got Lisa Messenger from the UK, and she's all about how to create a successful personal career, and then some really exciting techniques that she's going to impart with that show. We've also got Joe Cross, who is the juice guru. He started here in Australia. I believe he now resides in the US, probably just down the road from Kellan somewhere, but he'll be talking to us about creative exposure for your business, whatever it is. So really cool, exciting speakers for InspireTalk all lined up. With that, I'm going to come back to Ranil. Ranil, just a last comment for the show today.
Oh, look, brilliant session. I'm so glad that we had you on, Kellan, and thank you so much for your time as well. I know you've driven across the country and made it in time for us and our viewers, so thank you so much. Kellan's a guy that charges quite a lot for events, for speaking events, for mentorship. So for him to actually give up some time for us, we really appreciate it. So thank you very much. My 3 points was basically those 3 nuggets that you mentioned, which is fear, self-sabotage, and procrastination, which in a weird way the internet has something to do with all of those factors as well, in the wrong way if you look at it, if you have that type of attitude. But I think it comes back to, I think, a lot of common sense, but you break it down very well, Kellan. It's obvious that you've been through a lot in your life, and you're willing to actually open up and share that with the rest of the world and help us live better lives. So please check out the website and also Kellan's YouTube channel, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of worthy videos there that will make your life better. Kellan, over to you. What did you think of the session?
I thought it was great. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for thanking me. Of course I would give you my time. My motto is that I love to serve and I love to give people stuff. There's tons of free stuff on my YouTube channel. You can go to the breakthecage.now website, and the videos are long, and there's lots of really good stuff there, whether you elect to have further conversations with me or not. And so I do. I'm pretty expensive, but that has to charge me for personal mentoring. But that has nothing to do with my desire to give and serve, which I do lots, and I go speak lots of places for nothing or for very little. And so my mission, my goal, my purpose is to magnify my gifts and talents and to help you do the same. Thank you for inviting me. I consider it a privilege and honor to be able to connect with your audience, and hope that I've provided you and your audience with something really good and fun today.
Thank you, Kellan, and I too appreciate your time and attendance today. Most appreciated. The one comment that I've taken out of the whole session today from you is make the choice intentionally. And when you do make that choice, it's not always to head down that path without some help. And there's one person that we're talking to today that can definitely assist you to get some completely successful outcomes, and that's Kellan Fluckiger. Kellan, thank you very much for attending. Really appreciate it. And with that, I'm signing out.
Thanks, Kellan.